Hi, Doug Stworski for the U.S. Access Institute, LLC. Today we look at one specific element in our lesson series called Accessibility by the Element. That's where we take a quick look at the accessibility requirements and one specific element. We also do a comparison of the different ADA and state access codes and standards. We try to cover it from coast to coast. Remember, our goal is eliminating the confusion and access compliance. So check us out at www.usaccessinstitute.com. Here we go. First, we start with the periodic table of accessible elements. It's not a real table in the access standard sense of things, but hey, we want to make access fun. Next, we look at section 502, and that covers accessible parking space requirements. The 2010 ADA standards for accessible design in section 505.2, vehicle spaces, says car parking spaces shall be 96 inches wide minimum. There is no mention on the minimum length of the accessible parking space. So let's do a quick review of some accessibility standards across the U.S. to see what they say. This figure is from the 2010 ADA standards for accessible design and shows the accessible parking spaces are a minimum of 96 inches wide and does not mention the length. It is the exact same requirement in the 2012 Texas accessibility standards. In the ICC A117.1, we have the same 96 inches with no mention of length. The Fair Housing Design Act uses the ANSI A117.1, the 1986 standard, as a safe harbor, and the 96 inches is valid here with no mention of length. In the 2020 Florida Building Code on Accessibility, the base requirement in section 502.2 is at least 144 inches or 12 feet wide, but the advisory states that the width may be waived down to the requirements of the ADA standards for accessible design, which is the 96 inches. And again, no mention of length. In the 2020 Minnesota Accessibility Code, we have the same requirements as the ADA, as it is in the 2020 Building Code of New York State and the Illinois Accessibility Code. However, in the 2022 California Building Code, section 11B 502.2 states that car parking spaces shall be 108 inches, which is 9 feet wide. And now we have a standard that actually addresses the length. It states that car parking spaces shall be 216 inches long minimum, or 18 feet. So we have seen that California is unique in that it requires a minimum length in accessible parking spaces. All the other standards, such as the Florida Building Code accessibility provisions, have no length requirement. The length of an accessible parking space, such as these in Texas, are then required to be just as long as the other regular parking spaces. Thanks for watching, and remember that here at the U.S. Access Institute, LLC, our goal is eliminating the confusion and access compliance. So check us out at www.usaccessinstitute.com.